Hey, what's up, Next Level crew? Welcome back to another episode of What's Your Next? We're continuing on in our series, Your Franchise Questions Answered. And as usual, we have another really good question here. This came in from Jonathan. And actually, Jonathan is a neighbor who lives up the street. This came up in a conversation when we were chatting with him about, actually, his parents. We know his parents. He's kind of a younger guy who's just kind of burnt out from what he's been doing. Was interested in learning a little bit more about franchises, and he asked a really good question that we get a lot, particularly with people that aren't as seasoned or willing to make a complete transition out of what they're doing, and that is, can I keep my full-time job while starting a franchise? And that's a great question.
Welcome to What's Your Next? This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Riska, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
I'm going to throw this out to Stacy first and let her give the first response to this. What do you think, Stacy? Can they keep their job?
It's a great question, one that we are asked many, many times. And Dave, I know you work with a lot of people in IT. Jonathan is in IT, so you're right. A lot of them,
a good point.
They're burned out, but they're not quite ready to leave their full-time job. And so they're wondering, well, can I start or own a franchise and keep my job? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. There is a model called semi-absentee ownership. And just as the name implies, you're semi-absentee. You're you're not in the business, you're working on the business, which means you're working strategically. You're not going to be the person doing the painting, laying the floors, doing the grunt and grind work. What you're going to do is build the team around you. What you do need to consider, though, if you're going to look at semi-absentee ownership, usually means you're hiring a manager or someone to get it up and running out of the gate. So it usually entails a larger financial investment.
Okay, well, that was a short answer, but she's right. That's all right. I just want to, add to that a little bit and kind of work in a little bit of our story in this, in that there are so many different types of franchises out there available today, and really for a very long time, that there are some types of franchises that really don't require you to work full-time in the business. So take our coffee and smoothie franchise. For those of you who follow our story, we owned a coffee and smoothie franchise for 19 years. And when we started it, we were kind of transitioning out of our other business, but still actively full-time in that business at that point in time. Mm-hmm. So we really did the work on the weekends. We literally went out and implemented this new franchise we had acquired, and we did basically the work on the weekends. And, this presents an opportunity, evenings too, maybe you could say, depending on what it is. And there's a lot of these types of franchises. So we placed a candidate, for instance, in a travel agency. Mm-hmm. And that's certainly something that you could do, around something else part-time, around what you're doing now. So there's just so many different kinds of opportunities out there that you can still you can acquire and run a franchise on a part-time basis, or if it's a franchise that's more seasoned and they do require that you be more actively engaged, you could be semi-absentee or even absentee. There's even absentee out there, but generally those require a much larger capital investment because you're going to have to hire right out of the gate managers and everything to run that for you. So certainly the opportunity exists. Certainly there's plenty of opportunity for those of you other than Jonathan who are interested in looking at franchising to get started with something that you could snap on or with continuing to do your full-time job. there's obviously caveats to that, because if your job finds out that you're doing it, what's going to happen, right? So there's always some risk to that unless, you're doing something that's completely harmless to them or outside their scope, or you're doing it on the weekends, So that's my answer to that. You got anything else on this one, Stacy? Or
Yeah, I'd like to share some additional concepts just because the people watching or listening, and even Jonathan, might be wondering, what other kinds of concepts might fall under semi-absentee. And I know you shared some, but let's share some more because, for example, Jonathan is in IT. So what might he do as semi-absentee owner in a franchise? Well, there are many in the teaching children about the STEM or robotic kind of skills. And those are very part-time oriented because kids go to school during the day. So sometimes it's after school or evenings or weekends. And a lot of times the candidates who work with us who transition from IT, they do it more because they want to give back, right? And it's just like they're teaching the younger generation a new skill. And then one that's completely opposite might be fitness, right? Because Jonathan, I don't see you putting on leggings and going in front of a class and teaching everybody their jumping jacks and lifting weights, right? Oh God, too much information. But fitness is a great semi-absentee model because you're going to hire those teachers, those trainers. Very rarely is that owner operated where the person doing the work is in the business. And then a very common one that we are placing people in today are coaching franchises because so many of the candidates that we talk to, they're in mid to upper level management. They have a lot of skills, transferable skills, but they want to continue in their job, which is great, but they're kind of looking maybe to give back and or teach and mentor and make an additional revenue stream. And coaching is a great way to do that. And there are great coaching franchises out there.
Right. It's great examples. There's others as well. I mean, one of the things that comes to mind here is that this is, again, another reason why you may want to work with someone like Stacy and I, franchise matchmakers, because there are a lot of franchises out there that do require that you be full-time, meaning that you are actively their full-time commitment. So you could go out and spend a lot of time looking around for something that you could do part-time and find out that many of them will not let you do that. Mm-hmm. So we actually help search through that process and make sure when we make recommendations that we're only recommending those that would match your need for a part-time solution for franchising. So that's just something to add to that. Mm-hmm. Anything else? You good?
Yeah.
No, great.
I think Jonathan's set.
Yeah, Jonathan, great question. I love it. It's great that you're interested in learning a little bit more about franchising. I hope everybody else learned a little bit from your question. We hope you like our content. We certainly would appreciate if you at least like and subscribe if you like our content. It really does help us in the Google stuff. And we do appreciate you joining us for another episode of What's Your Next. We'll catch you on the next one soon.